As we've been reporting, President Trump is on his way to Beijing to meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping. Before he left, he was asked about the current ceasefire with Iran.
What is going to be your red line to end the ceasefire for you? What will it take to pull the plug?
Well, we're going to see, and we'll be thinking about it on the flight, and we'll be thinking about it for the next little while. But we've beaten their militaries very soundly. That's over with. The blockade is very effective. It's been 100% effective. And one way or the other, it's going to work out very well.
Let's bring in Will Todman. He's a senior fellow in the Middle East program at the Center for Strategic and International Studies. So what kind of economic pressure is Iran facing at this stage in the war?
Iran is facing real economic pressure, but it's not clear that that's going to sway the calculations of the regime. We've seen millions of Iranians have been laid off from their jobs due to the economic crisis. Inflation is approaching 70% year on year. And of course, Iran is struggling to export its oil due to the blockade that the United States has placed on the Strait of Hormuz. And so it is certainly suffering, but I think it is not suffering to the degree that it is forcing the Iranian leaders to capitulate. And this is something that is clearly frustrating President Trump. It seems that he had expected that the regime would bow down to the economic pressure and would be forced to make serious concessions. But based on the response that we saw from the Iranians to the proposal the US had put forward, they're still really unwilling to make concessions on issues related to the nuclear file, which they view as critical to their regime's survival, as they think that's one of their best sources of remaining leverage.
President Trump says he doesn't think he'll need China to close a deal with Iran, but what would cause China to get involved?
Well, China is reliant on Iran for an important part of its oil imports. Something like 30% of the oil that China imports comes through the Strait of Hormuz, and about 90% of Iran's oil goes to China. So China does seem to have important economic leverage there and also important economic states. But I think there are reasons to doubt whether China would get involved directly. Xi Jinping does not want to be seen to do the bidding of President Trump by putting too much pressure on Iran. And I think there's also something to be said for the fact that for the Iranian regime, survival is really their number one priority. And so they may be more resilient to even pressure from China. So I think China's more likely to want to work multilaterally, going through its partners like Pakistan, which of course is hosting the negotiations, but also trying to work through the UN Security Council. That means that that kind of pressure is going to go much more slowly. And so I don't think President Trump is likely to get a lot of help from China during this summit.
Well, Todman, thank you.